Hello and welcome to Montgomery County Police Beat. I'm Patrick Lacefield, Director of the Montgomery County Office of Public Information. I'm here with Montgomery County Police Chief Tom Manger to discuss current issues from the perspective of our police force. Chief Manger, welcome.
Always good to be here, Patrick.
August is here. August means National Night Out Against Crime, events throughout the county. Talk about what goes on that night.
Well, it's always the first Tuesday of August, so this year it's August 6th. And we have neighborhoods from all over the county that have events. They have pool parties, they have cookouts, they have just walks through the neighborhood, flashlight walks, things like that. And it's a night that is meant to express people's sense of neighborhood and I think try and motivate folks to get to know their neighbors a little bit better. And so it's really a very festive occasion. The county executive and I for the last 6 years have gone out together and we hit as many of the neighborhood watch
You get some
events.
good food?
We do actually, and I like the ones that serve ice cream.
Okay.
But we get out and see hundreds of people all over the county, and it's the toughest thing for us is getting all the different events. I mean, if you go to one in Silver Spring, it's tough to get to the one in Damascus in the same night. But we make a good go of it.
Now, how have neighborhood watches sort of evolved over the years as you've seen them?
You know, when I started as a police officer 36 years ago, neighborhood watch was strictly you had an individual who was what they called a block captain, and they tried to get volunteers in the neighborhood, and people would do patrols in their cars and do it a few hours on a Friday or Saturday night, or maybe during the weekend at some point. Now it's I think a much more efficient process. The neighborhood watches now, we'll have someone who is the neighborhood watch coordinator for a particular neighborhood, and they'll get information very frequently from our community service officers, crime prevention information about what activities occurring in and around the neighborhood. And then what we like is for the neighborhood watch coordinator to push that information out on their listserv so that all the residents have the information about crime prevention, about tips, what to do when you go on vacation.
So technology has made it a lot easier.
It has, and then we still do have some neighborhoods that continue to do the patrols. But I think that what's more important is for everyone to just always be on the lookout for any suspicious activity in their neighborhood. I mean, it doesn't have to be someone on patrol. If you just, if you're out watering your lawn or just coming out to get the newspaper and you see something that just doesn't seem right, what we try and encourage folks to do is to call the police, and so that we can check it out. And if it turns out to be nothing, that's great. But you never know when you might be preventing a crime from occurring.
Now, of course, neighborhood watches have been in the news somewhat recently with the recent uproar, as nationally, on the Trayvon Martin case,
right.
George Zimmerman case. That resulted somewhat from a particular situation in Florida where they have a law called Stand Your Ground. Now, what does that mean? Well,
the Stand Your Ground law, and they have it in I think actually over 50% of the states in this country have it. Basically, if you're in public and you feel threatened or you are being threatened, that you have the right to stand your ground, and it's versus a duty to retreat. And while I think that in many situations, and again, I've responded to thousands of crimes over the years, and I think that the prudent advice for anybody is if you can get away, that's usually a better thing to do. But I think that when you look at recent times, you see a lot of states that are enacting gun laws that make it easier for folks to carry concealed weapons, and this Stand Your Ground law is I think kind of an offshoot of that in some ways.
Standing your ground is significantly different, though, if you're standing your ground with a weapon.
It is, and it's as you mentioned, I mean, this really sort of highlighted the neighborhood watch issue, because you had someone, George Zimmerman, who was, saw something suspicious, and he called the police. Well, up until that point, that was fine.
Right.
And then, in fact, as we all know now from the trial, the call taker at the police department department said, don't confront him, just stay in your car. We'll go and check it out. And of course, obviously that did not happen. And then this very tragic circumstance where this young man is killed. And one of the things that when we give instructions, and we do provide instructions and guidance for neighborhood watches in Montgomery County, is that we stress to folks, we want you to be eyes and ears. That's it. We have, if you think you have an emergency situation, you can call 911. 301-279-8000 is our non-emergency number. If you see something you think is suspicious, that's what we want folks to do, is to call the police. And then this issue of what is suspicious and what isn't. Our folks, the police department, the police officers are trained. They have the legal foundation, the legal training to know what is legally suspicious and where you could stop someone and frisk them, or when that threshold meets probable cause, you could actually make an arrest. And this is detailed legal training that we get. And obviously that issue of racial profiling was an issue in the George Zimmerman case. And for us, it's a matter of making sure the officers have the right training. I mean,
why don't you give me some examples? What's profiling that's,
well,
if you will, legitimate,
right,
and illegitimate,
right? And criminal profiling is what cops do every day, and it is legal. This is where an officer's on patrol. It's 2 o'clock in the morning, and they're patrolling a shopping center, and they see an individual who's walking, down behind the shopping center and walking slowly and sort of stopping at each back door to the shopping center. Well, the shopping center's closed, there's no businesses open. And just the fact that
there's no other explanation,
right?
Really,
well, it's suspicious.
Right,
and you can articulate why that is suspicious,
right.
And that as they would, your legal training would take, that there may be criminal activity afoot. So that gives me the authority as a police officer to stop that individual and talk to them. Okay. But if I see an individual who's walking down that shopping center, and it happens to be a Latino man, and I say to myself as a police officer, well, there's no Latino folks that live in this neighborhood. I find that suspicious that this Latino guy's walking down the shopping center. Well, that's ethnic profiling, same as racial profiling. It is illegal. You cannot base make a determination that there's criminal activity afoot based on someone's race. It's based on their behavior. What are they doing?
Could it be based on their clothing?
It could be, because if we let's say we have an armed robbery that occurs at a 7-Eleven. And then the individual, or the victim at the 7-Eleven says the individual is wearing a red sweatshirt and a black hat. Well, if I see an individual with a red sweatshirt and a black hat about a half a mile away, 10 minutes later, I have legal authority to stop and talk to that person.
Going on.
Right, yeah. And based on the description of their clothing. It's not, the fact that now oftentimes victims will advise, what a person looks like. They'll advise their race or some more description about what they look like. But if all you have is a clothing description and you've got that clothing, it happens more often when you have a car that's stolen, and that you've got a black pickup truck that's been stolen, and just carjacking just occurred,
right.
5 minutes ago, and I see a black pickup truck going down the road, about a mile away. Well, I have the authority to stop that because there's
a nexus between
right,
one thing and the other.
Right,
Yeah.
and so, but my ability to articulate that level of suspicion that justifies that stop has nothing to do with the description of the driver, because all I know is that it's a black pickup truck. I can't even see the driver.
Right.
So, for me to or for any police officer to use race or ethnicity as one of the criteria for determining if criminal activity might be afoot is illegal, it's wrong, and I will tell you that the way you avoid it, I mean, number one, you have to hire the right people. I mean, you want to hire people that that have the right qualities and right characteristics. And clearly, if somebody has a lot of racial bias, you don't want to hire that person as a police officer. And so we do have tests that we put them through, psychological evaluations that we put them through to try and weed those folks out. But every individual has some level of bias in them. But I will tell you that racial profiling by police officers in this country is not because we've got so many racist cops. It's really a lack of training. It's the cops have not been trained well enough to know what the legal foundation they need. Right. And they will often, or sometimes make a mistake and use criteria that they're not allowed to use legally. And so it's more a training issue. And in fact, in most of the cases where we've had complaints in Montgomery County and we've investigated, we've had a couple that were actually sustained, and officers had racially profiled someone. But again, when you look further into it, it was more a mistake because of lack of training or because they weren't following their training, rather than this individual was just targeting specific individuals.
Right.
So.
Now, as summer winds down, what are some of the things that people should be looking at? Now we're talking about neighborhoods and the good that Neighborhood Watch does. What are some of the things that people should be looking at in terms of neighborhood safety?
Well, oftentimes, as you know, folks go away for the summer, and one of the things that you want to make sure you do is to make sure your house still looks occupied. And if that
everybody's got their tricks,
right? And it means parking a car in the driveway. It means using a timer to keep a light going on and off, in the evening. It means making sure that either you stop your paper and mail, or you get your neighbor to pick up your paper and mail. Even if you know your neighbor well enough, even having the neighbor, draw the blinds, open the blinds during the day. You want to make sure your house looks occupied, because there's much less of a chance of your house being broken into if somebody thinks, well, there's people here. If you've got a week's worth of newspapers pile up in your driveway, or somehow someone knows that nobody's home, then it's a much more attractive target to a burglar. So, looking out for your neighbors, always, looking for things that don't look right to you. Those are the kinds of things that we ask people to call us and let us check it out. And again, very often we check it out. It turns out there's no problem, no problems. But
that's okay. You'd rather be safe than
exactly. But every once in a while, you get that call from somebody that ends up, we end up preventing a crime or locking up somebody that's already committed a crime.
Right. Well, Chief, thanks for joining us. I'm Patrick Lacefield here with Montgomery County Police Chief Tom Manger. Thanks for watching. Join us again next month on another edition of Montgomery County Police Beat.
Drivers are at fault in more than half of crashes with riders, so give them room to operate. Use your turn signals and always look twice before changing lanes. Motorcycle safety. Think of the impact you could make.
You can never know which pool safety step will save a life. Until it does. No matter how safe you feel, adding multiple safety steps can mean the difference between a close call and a call to 911. Simple steps save lives. To learn some new ones, visit poolsafely.gov.